I chose to do a presentation on Dr. Robert Mills Gagné's Conditions of Learning Theory. In this presentation, I will talk about the author, Dr. Robert Mills Gagné. I'll also talk about components of conditions of learning, association learning, 5 major categories of learning, and 9 conditions of learning. I'll also address professional development examples and assessments I'd use to track the learning. My name is Wade Werner, and I'm creating this for my KSP 643 class for Minnesota State University Mankato. Who is Dr. Robert Mills Gagné? Well, he was born August 21st, 1916, and died April 28th, 2002. He's an American education psychologist, or was. Speaking at his high school class graduation as valedictorian, he stated that the science of psychology should be used to relieve the burdens of human life. He completed his undergraduate degree from Yale University in 1937 and obtained his PhD from Brown University in 1940. During World War II, he administered and scored aptitude tests to choose and sort aviation cadets. He wrote his first book in 1962 entitled The Conditions of Learning. And in 1969, he collaborated with Leslie J. Briggs on the principles of learning. Conditions of learning. There are 2 conditions of learning, according to Gagné: internal conditions, which is information that has been gathered by the learner prior to instruction, and external conditions, the ways instructional events outside the learner affect the learning process. Association learning. Well, there's classical conditioning. The learner responds with predetermined knowledge under new stimuli. Operant conditioning, situation where the response of the learner is necessary, which in turn leads to a reinforcing event. Verbal association. Verbal responses are made by the learner in response to stimuli. Chaining, a process where a learner connects individual associations in sequence. 5 major categories of learning. Verbal information. Recall information that they have been taught in the past. For example, a person would remember addresses, phone numbers, or something like the 10 Commandments. Intellectual skills. Apply one's knowledge on how to calculate and identify numbers, images, sounds, sound identification. Cognitive strategies. One would divide procedures, strategies, or methods on how to complete an objective, coming up with a game plan. Attitudes, where one's own feelings and beliefs govern the choices of their actions. For example, one would choose to have a healthy diet, or they would choose to set good examples for those that are following them. Motor skills. One would be able to execute a precise movement in accurately timed intervals. For example, jumping jacks, hops, skips, and jumps. 9 conditions of learning. Gain the attention of the learners. For example, if I were to present on cloud storage, like I am doing with my staff right now, I would let them know that if they save things in the cloud, they would not have to worry as much about their computer crashing or not working and losing all their documents. That would catch a lot of their attention. Inform the learner of the objectives. The objectives in my little staff development session would be to aim to get everybody to understand the importance of storing their documents in the cloud. And once we'd have everybody transfer their documents from the cloud, I'd consider that a success. Stimulating recall of prior learning. Well, staff has been taught how to save documents on their computers or on some kind of external media for years. We're going to rely on that same sort of information to teach them how to share and store that information in the cloud. And presenting the stimulus. This is where I would show them examples of how data stored in the cloud would be accessible on numerous different devices spanning all different areas of the world. They'd have to use some motor skills, relying on their skills on how to use the mouse and various keys on the keyboard to adjust and rename and drag and put things in different folders. Eliciting performance. We're going to be looking to see how well they can transfer and organize all of the criteria that they have and all the data that they have into their new cloud storage device. I would give them feedback, letting them know where they could organize things a little bit better and where some excess may be, where they may be able to delete some of their information. Providing feedback and receiving feedback from the students as well is a very important part of the learning process. And assessing performance. Once everybody has everything off of their computer desktops and off of their computer hard drives and stored in the cloud, I would consider that to be a success. Enhancing retention and transfer. Well, there will be plenty of opportunities for staff and students to store and share items in the cloud. Showing them how to do it is just the beginning of them completing many tasks, similar tasks. I would count on them to do many of the same sorts of tasks as they move on in their professional career, learning as they go. I use different references for the project that I just completed. One is the In Trends and Trends and Issues in Instructional Design book that we have for class, and I also use some websites that gave me some very handy information. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you for listening and watching.